What's up guys, I'm Mr. Audio, and if you're new here on this channel we talk about music production, sound design, mixing, mastering, and pretty much anything to get your tracks ready for release. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss a video. Let's get into it. Alright, so today I'm making this video at the request of a viewer. And these are things that I wish I knew when I started mixing, alright? And they're not in any particular order, they're just how they came to my mind when I was thinking of them. First of all, arbitrary EQ values don't exist, alright? What works for one track might not work for another track. So if you get someone telling you, without even hearing your work that you're working on, to cut this frequency or boost this frequency for more punch or whatever, don't listen to them. Trial and error are your best friend here. Why don't you scan the frequencies yourself to see what sounds best? Because everything with EQ is material dependent. And that brings me to my next point. I wish someone told me in the beginning that most of mixing and production is just trial and error. Learning your plugins, learning what they do, to what, on what. If you put them in a chain like this, you know, that's most of mixing. A lot of times in my productions, I'm just trying something and sometimes it sounds great. Sometimes it sounds like crap and I gotta delete it. And all that work was for nothing. And this happens to every producer. I watched a video not too long ago where somebody said they bought Charlie Puth's online course so you don't have to. And he just says he threw a compressor on something. He doesn't really know what it does. But a lot of producers don't know what things do. How you figure that out is trial and error. Mess around with your plugins, mess around with your stock tools. This is a big part of music production in general. And that kind of brings me to my next point. I wish I had gotten to know my stock plugins a lot better before I bought a bunch of third-party plugin bundles. Because now I'm making effect racks and Ableton that really stomp a lot of the plugins that I own. I find myself reaching for my own effect racks, which, as I should, because I built them. Now I've got a video I did last week, I'll link it up here, where I go into way more detail on this subject, but basically, if the performance is not there, it's your job to create it. So like, what I mean by that is, if the singer only sang one vocal take and you need to generate some vocal doubles and harmonies, it's your job as a mix engineer to do so. And when creating vocal harmonies, you harmonize with the chord progression of the song. Think about it this way, if you're in a band, and there's a guitar solo happening and you're playing rhythm guitar, you don't follow the lead guitarist, you follow the rest of the band. Because if you followed the lead guitar, you would just be playing every chord corresponding with each note that the lead guitarist plays. That wouldn't even sound good, let alone it'd be extremely hard to play. And like I said, I go over this all in a video that I linked up there a little bit ago. And this next one's a big one, and I used to do this a lot because I didn't understand the idea of mixing very well. The idea of fixing it in the mastering is completely wrong. This isn't something you should strive to do, nor is it something you should ever do, alright? Unless you're a mastering engineer and you get something from somebody and you don't have access to the stems or the files or something like that, then obviously it's your job to do what you can. But the idea of fixing it in mastering shouldn't be your goal. Your mixes should sound mastered. You know, your productions should sound mixed somewhat. You know, that's what I'm saying. Along the steps of the way, you should already feel like it's far enough along that process to where if you didn't touch it, it would be okay. You know what I mean? So work on your mix till you're absolutely certain it's done. Be 100% positive that it's ready for mastering. Another thing, don't be afraid of compression. I love squashing things just to see how it sounds. And then maybe I'll like that in a parallel track. Process it in parallel, maybe use the mix knob, who knows? I love trial and error and trying new interesting things. I love downloading new instruments, new plugins, just to see what it sounds like. Also, saturation is probably your best friend. I've used it on literally every element in every mix. Something I struggled with for a long time in mixing was knowing what method to unmask frequencies with. Was it side chaining? Was it EQing? Was it dynamic EQing? These are all questions I always had trouble answering myself. I don't anymore because I know what I'm after. This is all done by trial and error, seeing what works best for each situation. Once you try enough things, you'll get the hang of it, and you'll know which method is suited best for each situation. I also had trouble hearing high frequency masking for a while too. I'll link another video up here. This is a good one. When I first started mixing, I would learn new techniques and I would go back through my productions and try them out on every production. This would lead to me wearing out that production trick, and it just wouldn't sound good in every scenario. So I have to go back through and erase what I've done. And that brings me kind of to my next point. Finish your projects, release them, so that you can't go back and edit them. You learn from your mistakes and move on. Don't do what I've done and have 40 songs sitting on your hard drive that are completely done that you really just need to release. And believe me, you're gonna have a lot of crappy mixes before you have some good ones. A quote comes to mind by Ed Sheeran. He said something like, if you turn a crap water fountain on, it's gonna put out crap water for a while, but eventually it's gonna push some clean water out. Same thing with songwriters and producers and mix engineers and even master engineers. You're gonna make a lot of crappy mixes. You're gonna make a lot of crappy masters. But eventually, you're gonna start making really good ones. And then eventually you're gonna make another crappy one. But you have to get the crap ones out to get to the good ones. Alright guys, that's it for this video. If you stuck around the end and you're an Ableton user, there's some free Ableton racks with links in the description. There's also some paid products on my website as well too. Thanks for watching guys. I'll see you in the next one. Mr. Audio, out.